Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 79 Roundtable. Everyone in the chat, everyone who's watching this on YouTube, I just got to say how much surrounded I am by pseudo professionals. We had like an entire dance crew going on. It was like a flash mob happening between Lim and Lloyd, and Jason's just sitting there shaking his head.
It's
Hey,
like, how did I get myself into this?
I was just thankful I didn't have to do an intro that time because then you couldn't hear me laughing. Welcome back, everyone who's joining us from the podcast. Now we're on to the roundtable. So, what is the roundtable? Well, the roundtable is a little bit more laid back atmosphere where the news section is very focused. There's just two of us where we're just running down the weekly news, somewhat focused. The roundtable is a lot more people mixed with the group, and it's more conversational, and we just kind of pick a topic each week to discuss, and we just go around the horn and talk about it. If you would like to submit ideas, please do so. Head on over to our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Disney Infinity TV. You can also tweet to any one of us to suggest roundtable conversations. Next week, we have a fun group by popular demand. We have none other than Lauren, aka Mighty Jidus, and the one and only pirate Steven going to be on next week's roundtable. So if you have questions about how to become a superb toy box artist, send them into the show. Let us know what you would like us to ask them. We'll ask them live on the roundtable. We'll also be looking at the chat, watching it closely. So make sure you join us live if you can. So looking forward to that. With that, gentlemen, let's go ahead and get this week's roundtable started. Bringing to you Jason Haynes, back with another idea. Jason, what are we going to be discussing this week on the roundtable?
I'm really excited about this one. I only came up with this morning in a Hail Mary move. Um, but I was thinking about the I think gameplay. Disney Infinity gameplay is its greatest strength and its greatest weakness. Its greatest weakness meaning that it's so diversified. We've got play sets, we've got the toy box, and inside the toy box you've got the building side of the toy box, and then obviously playing the toy box games. And so, but what I was thinking to myself is the other competitors out there, like Minecraft, for instance, a very soul focused experience. So my thought was I'd like to discuss, particularly because most of the people, particularly on this panel, are what like general gamers. We play all sorts of games. What kind of things, gameplay, would you like to see come into the toy box that would bring you back over and over again to play games in the toy box? You know what I mean? Like what game mechanic? It's not. It can be any. It can be way out there. Like it could be completely future thought. But yeah, what gameplay elements and what kind of games would you like to one day be able to see people be able to create that would motivate you to play more toy box games? That's the question.
Lim, I'm going to throw it your way first because I know there's a couple mechanics that you have been asking for quite some time. Do you have any off the top of your head?
There's one that I can think of right off the top of my head. I've wanted it forever. They kind of did it in the Guardians of the Galaxy. I want FPS. I need a first person shooter. That's what I need. I was not expecting to become a first person shooter guy. I just had one. It was Halo, and now I own several. I am a first person. I'm horrible at it, but I need my first person shooter.
I'm glad I won the bet on that one. That was what I was hoping you were going to say. Apologize to everyone in the chat. Lim's video is once again about 3 minutes behind, but it's amazing, and
Amazing.
we're gonna just keep going with it, Lim. So basically, what you want to be able to do, if I may, speak for you a moment, is you want to be able to make Halo in Disney Infinity.
Yes.
Well, I'm really glad your video was shaking your head. Yes, just happened to be at the same time.
That's
All right.
amazing.
So you want first person camera, so that includes mechanics and a camera system, first person. What about you, Lloyd? What kind of gameplay mechanics would you like to see improved or added?
That's a tough one. They've done a lot. for most of the things that I would want. Like I love games like say Assassin's Creed or Lem's really disturbing me right now. I look over and he's
I
acting
know,
with
just don't look at him.
He's just with constant laughter. It makes you wonder what the heck he was laughing at that particular moment.
so good. Yeah, so I love open world games, sandboxy like Assassin's Creed, like GTA, like Saints Row, games like that where you kind of have a city to explore. And to do that, you kind of need you need better climbing mechanics, you need better scaling mechanics. I wish um that there was maybe a way to say that this object is climbable, so it would have a texture on it like a city texture, and if you say that city texture is climbable, your character can now grab onto ledges where there's windows without you having to put little bits and stuff on the side of the wall. Oh, Lem, that is just so distracting. Oh my goodness, this is so good. But yeah, that would be great, something like that. And maybe with the ability for you to do um, things like in Crazy Taxi, where you pick up someone in a car and drive them to an area and drop them off in a time limit, instead of you create a collection area and you have to find 5 guys and throw them in there. It'd be nice to be able to say, I want to take person A to spot B, and I have to do it in a certain time frame. So things like that would allow me to do I don't know, some of the games that have been percolating inside my brain that I'd like to see realized in the Disney Infinity toy box.
Yeah, that sounds great. So it kind of more control over the environment as well as a little bit of quest givers.
Yeah, and like I said, the ability to just say this is climbable, and then your character figures out how they would climb it without having to put little ledges and ropes and things would be great for just making a city thing where people can actually get to it without having to fly everywhere.
Yeah, totally. I'm gonna bring up a few items in the chat room. Mad88 is saying a card game like Skystone and Skylanders. Do you have any thoughts on that, Lloyd? Because you're a Skylanders guy.
Yeah, it seems like every version of Skylanders has their own kind of mini game. Skystone Smash was kind of in the last 2 games, and it's just a really simple battle game where you battle against a character, and they place down tiles, and you place down tiles, and whoever puts the tile that has a bigger number kind of wins. So very simplistic stuff, but things like that would be really fun if you're able to say, I have these sets of cards and I'm going to design a game around it. Either you have to put the lowest card, you have to put the highest card, you have to fill all the slots with higher numbers than the other guy. If you were able to kind of customize some of those game mechanics, that would be really fun as well. And you'd be able to then take a simple game and kind of tweak it a little bit.
So would that be relegated to the play sets only, or do you see a place in that for toy boxes as well?
In toy box, you could say this little townsperson is a card player, and have a little icon above them, and you can go and play them, and if you win you get an item, or it opens a door. Like it could be logic based, where you beat this game and something in the world could then happen be based on that.
Awesome. I'm gonna throw out another one from the chat room. This is one I agree with, and there's 3 votes in the chat room right now for it. Something I've been wishing for since one. So Gospel Crusader, Captain Disney, 2319, and then Crystal Perry are all voting for online co-op of the playsets. Could not agree more. That's one thing that I've really been wanting. I'd love to play playsets online with these guys. Love to jump in there and beat the levels for Steve C, since he always has trouble doing that. And I just think sharing in the playsets with our friends online, giving you that co-op experience that right now you can only have sitting couch co-op. That's one thing that I would really like to see. You guys agree or disagree with co-op, since it has 4 votes in the chat room? Agree.
Yes.
Yay, your voice is back in sync with your video, Lem. I had a new face queued up for you too.
Don't do that.
Jason, this was a Hail Mary pass for you this morning. What are some gameplay mechanics that you would like to see in the game?
Okay, well, I've got an idea, and I'll end my idea with not a rephrasing the question, but looking at it from a different perspective. I thought to myself, in fact, I'll give you the question now, and then I'll say my idea, and then maybe you can follow up that. The idea is, can you think of the games that you've played, doesn't matter when, in the past, any game that you've played in the past, think about the games that you've played the most. I'm talking hours wise here. Like, what have you sunk in just an incredible amount of time in, and think about what that mechanic was that motivated that amount of time spent. And those are the things that I feel like we need to discuss, because if those things motivate you to play those games for 100 hours, if we could get those same sort of mechanics into Disney Infinity, would it result in the same thing? And a concept that I was thinking of, and Will, I'll probably ask this more directly of you, of what is the fascination at the moment with Destiny, right? I would be thinking, like, if I think back to games I've played, I'm thinking of games like um, Borderlands, where there's that huge amount of guns to collect. Now, obviously, guns don't necessarily fit too well in Disney Infinity, but the idea of a system that there is potentially millions of different combinations of whatever it is, and that there could be a toy that is, you literally just place it in your box, but it's like boss loot drop type toy that you just place it in your thing, and so when you achieve a certain goal, it will spawn something from the loot manager. But then the point is that you are encouraged to play toy boxes because it's effectively your way of farming the loot system to get the stuff out of it. Now, whether that's weapons, whether that's a really cool Disney-based card game that's like Hearthstone or something like that, I think that would be something that would be super motivational to to play toy boxes, because not only are you going to get the enjoyment of whatever the creator has created, but you also get that brand new bonus. Every one you play and finish, you get the chance of getting a rare loot drop, whatever that is. So that was one idea. I thought that could definitely create a bigger hunger to play more toy boxes. But I'll throw it over to you guys. Is there anything you can think of, the games that you've put hundreds of hours into, what was it about those games that created that sensation you felt like, I had to just continually play this?
Well, for me, the games that I played the most are like huge spanning open world RPGs, like the Oblivions, the Skyrims, the Fallouts, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, games like that. And to really keep me going, playing that game, they have to develop some sort of relationship with me and the characters. So there would have to be a way to tell a story in more than just little pop-up thought bubble type things like we have right now in Disney Infinity. Obviously, they're not thought bubbles, but they essentially contain about the same amount of content as a thought bubble. It would be nice to be able to have like a dialogue tree, and you could say, okay, if I talk to the person and I say this, they offer me this. If I say this, they get mad and a door closes, or they like me and then a door opens. Just having a little bit more control over dialogue would allow maybe some more storytelling that isn't implied storytelling, but actual someone's writing a script and it's coming out in the game. Of course, with a lot more text, there's a lot more censoring that would have to be done, I guess, but that's not for me to figure out. That's for the developer.
It's a really good idea, though. Imagine, I was just thinking then, imagine how cool a toy box scenario would be if you had that kind of dialogue tree. I don't know what the game's called, but there's a game you play where someone comes up with a sentence and then the next person has to extend the story, almost like Chinese whispers type thing. Imagine creating a game like that where you start off a toy box with a certain amount of characters and then some random player has to continue your story. What that could develop over time, over 15, 20 toy boxes. But the beauty of it is at the end of it, you have got an expansive story. Whether it's any good or not would be a complete random thing, but there's every chance that you get a really great lengthy toy box experience by linking people's ideas of that chaining story. That's a really cool concept.
Well, I mean, with the amazing talent that's currently out there, I'm sure we would have some good, high quality storytelling adventures there. Lloyd, one thing that I noticed with the list of games that you just mentioned, they all have branching dialogue as a kind of a big piece of the gameplay, a big gameplay mechanic in those scenarios. You also, every single one of them you mentioned was sandboxy. So is that a part of it as well, do you think?
Well, we're really limited in the toy box with the size of worlds. You can have a huge world that has no geometry, no blocks, or you could have a really small world with a lot of detail. Some of the things I brought up, everyone's saying, "Yeah, it's possible. It's possible." Well, it is possible, but it's possible 10% of the way that it would have to be compelling. So having a dialogue tree, you can do it now with different thought bubbles popping up and things, but it's really not the same as going into an editor and writing a script and then having those triggered different ways. Um, Having something more sandboxy would be great, but they'd have to make the worlds that much bigger. I was on a show a long time ago, and I said it would be nice if you could create a random world, kind of like Minecraft, where you spawn in a world that goes out into all directions and it's just randomly created right from the get-go. You don't have to go in and say, okay, I want this to be a mountain, I want this to be some water, and I want to have a cave here. If it could just create a world, and then you could come in and tweak it and populate it, then I guess the sandbox idea would be a little bit easier, because there'd be a lot less stuff to happen. I know if you're working in game development and you're making a 3D engine, and you have a lot of objects you can drop in as kind of the designer or the graphics guy in the game, you basically have these brushes that drop trees all over the place, that create rock formations, and you're just kind of like at the macro level just kind of dropping stuff here and there, and then you go in and tweak it. It would be really nice if that was how the worlds were. If you could say, start me in a random world, boom, Minecraft like spawn happens, you're in a random place, it stretches out into all directions a certain distance, and then you go in and tweak it and remove stuff or put up walls or delete things that you don't like. And then it would be easier for toy box artists to go in and create a world that looks populated, that isn't the some of the toy boxes I've played that don't have any trees or flowers, because there just isn't enough room in memory to have all those objects in the game. Something like that would be great. But yeah, like the dialogue stuff would be really awesome if they could find some way to look at some of the open source game development tools that allow you to create games just on dialogue, and if they could take just a fraction of the power of that and put it in, whether you have to link to a PC, you have to go online and do it, you're using your tablet to type this stuff in, but just make it possible so you could tell better stories without your little bobble-headed townsperson popping up thought bubbles and you're locked in the location while this happens.
Gospel Crusader in the chat is agreeing with you, saying good idea, Lloyd. Just to add to that, one thing I think that would also help that dialogue and the cinematic feel of these stories is a proper camera direction system. Something, it doesn't have to be as robust as the Valve machinima thing they do, but a lot of the cinematic work that's being done in the toy boxes right now are, not to say they're not effective, but they're cumbersome for the artist to do. I mean, Jason, we're building this haunted mansion, and you are having to have every one of your cameras that you want to follow a path is following a rolling ball, and that just seems it works, it gets the job done, but it's pretty cumbersome as far as a storyteller goes, and it's not very efficient. So I mean, to kind of speak on what you're saying, Lloyd, is like the tools themselves, the toy box tools, if we could make them more efficient just all around, it's going to create better experiences, because people are going to have to take less time on each individual piece of it.
Yeah, just look at the mod community on the PCs. There's tools that allow you to take a game like Skyrim, which is huge and big, and just create a little house on a mountain somewhere, and that is your addition to the world of Skyrim. But then there's also the ability to take it and delete everything in the world and create your own little game, which is totally different. So these tools can be long and drawn out and cumbersome, and it doesn't mean that every toy box artist has to use them, but at least it gives the freedom to those that want to create an experience that is more than just, hey, pick up this guy, throw it into a box, find your way through the castle, all the common things that we're seeing, because they're tough, but they're not impossible to do with the tool set that we're given.
Yep. Cool. Lim, what about you? Thinking to your most played games, what attributes of those games could you see being added to Disney Infinity to really enhance that?
I am a big advocate of what I'm using right now, the Kinect. I absolutely love it, and I know that you the PS4's got the camera too. I want to be able to, and I know it's coming because I saw the parts of the Microsoft event. I want to be able to say, here's my Disney Infinity playset. Here's my toy box. Wait, I want to move this mountain over here. I want to take this waterfall and put it up here and use my hands to actually build this thing. I mean, because I do quite a bit with the Kinect and like the Dance Central stuff and the original Kingdom for Keyflings and um, just to be able to do that interaction and controlling, like I'm actually doing it with my own two hands.
That would be awesome. I mean, I think it would need to be really optimized in order to be effective. Because, go ahead. Okay.
Oh no, I was just trying to catch up.
Yeah, so I mean, I think with motion gaming in general, it still has a ways to go. There's a lot of virtual reality stuff that's coming down the pike, which with controllers that are geared a little more towards that motion control of gaming. But I think if it worked well, that's a great idea, Lim.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they had Minecraft in the demo, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep.
You talk about the HoloLens thing. Yeah,
yep.
That'd be awesome for Infinity because it's even more like playing with toys.
Yep.
Virtual toys in your actual living room.
And even one of we've kind of related on the show a little bit. One of the demos they showed was a Minecraft world, which is all about building, and it'd be cool. My only concern with something like HoloLens is that someone in the chat even mentioned it with last gen consoles, is that you don't want to alienate any one of the consoles, and if HoloLens presumably is only going to work on Xbox, and so how would you handle that using the PS camera or the I guess the Wiimotes for the Wii U?
Yeah. This is why I don't expect to see it.
It would be awesome though. Would be totally awesome.
Yeah.
So, Jason, what about you? What some of your most played games, things you'd like to see in the game?
Again, I think I'm a huge level up junkie. Like that's why I love playing Battlefield. Anything where I'm going through the ranks just for no particular reason whatsoever. I mean, it's classic me. I'll play Battlefield until I've unlocked all the guns and everything like that, and then it almost immediately loses its polish. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of over it, so to speak. And I guess that's what was so disappointing about. I think if there was more unlocks attributed to the Disney Infinity figures, and you couldn't cheat it so easily, I think I probably would have got more gameplay out of the play sets and the likes, and again would have been more motivated to play more of the play sets. But I'm sort of the opposite, where I absolutely love building in the toy box, but obviously there's a huge chunk of people out there that aren't loving the building, but they would love to play. So that's more the area I was focused on. But yeah, I really do think it's just all about unlocks. I agree with Lloyd that a sandbox world a la GTA type thing would be a great way to eventually go, where there's just one big world connected, that things can be placed like the doors within that sandbox to access different toy boxes and so on. But yeah, for me, it's about collectibles. I love collectibles and unlocks in games when ranking up. Like we didn't even get the Hall of Heroes changes in 2.0 really. Like there wasn't that drastic visual change as you're ranking up your characters. So there was just so little reason to rank up those figures, particularly with the Marvel superheroes, how they just had the pathetic colored dots underneath the what do you call them?
Oh, the
hologram.
The holograms, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, Jason. And I think the problem with 2.0, and it's not really a problem, but it's just they gave you a skill tree, they gave you some sense of progression, but all that stuff is really only usable when you're playing the playset. So you grab your starter pack and you have your figures and you make your way and you beat the Avengers playset, and then other characters for Avengers come out, but you've already beaten the playset, so
Right.
you can level them up, you can use a spark generator, you can do whatever, get them to level 20 to unlock everything, but they're not really that much more usable when you're playing through toy boxes, because the toy boxes aren't really made that way. You're not fighting in battles, in round after round of battles like you are in the play sets.
Yeah.
So I like your earlier suggestion with something that would be more like Borderlands with a lot more loot. And if they could take those characters and make them more RPG like, where there is an inventory, there is random loot, there is stuff that isn't just sparks, that would be amazing. I would spend a hell of a lot more time playing with characters that I leveled up just because I want to get better loot for them. I want to get a nice shiny hammer for Thor, or I want better guns for Nick Fury, instead of just my Nick Fury is the same as your Nick Fury, except for maybe a couple of the skill tree perks are a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the chat room was really digging your loot system, Jason. Earlier tonight, they were asking how that would differ from Power Disc, and so someone was saying it's just simply something outside of Power Disc. It's not something that would be unlocked, and it would be unlocked through gameplay, which is that carrot on the stick like you're referring to. We also have, let's see, Matt88 is agreeing with both you guys as far as character progression. So Matt88 is saying, how about a player level with perks? Solus Soldier said, yeah, Matt, player level outside of and independent of character levels. So I think what they're saying is, Jason, like it doesn't matter what class you're playing in Battlefield, your level is your level. And so it's kind of saying two different levels, you as a player that can unlock certain things versus the character upgrades and the perks of those characters. Yeah. Matt88 is saying a character exclusive unlock items, there's more carrot. And then going back to what you're saying, Lloyd, Soul Soldier saying visual upgrades to go with higher levels would be awesome. So we just named essentially 3 different types of perks that could be added to the game to continue that kind of want. Right now we essentially have 2 things outside of the physical collecting. We have hundreds of toys that you unlock through in-game money, and you have these character upgrades that, like Lloyd pointed out, is primarily focused on the single player, or excuse me, the play sets. One thing I hate, Lloyd, is when I see a skill tree ability that I want, and in between me and it is that co-op like reviving thing. That is, I'm like, no, I'm never going to play this character with another person. Just let me get the one ability I want. So those are
for your sidekicks too.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess that's true. But yeah, I don't know. So those are great idea, guys. Really great ideas. Jason, to bring it back, you brought up Destiny specifically for me.
Yes.
And it made me think of something really interesting. So to me, as a video game player, Disney Infinity is a very different game. It is, I don't play it for the same reasons I play other video games. I play it a lot for the community. I play it a lot for my love for Disney alone and the characters that I get to mess around with. So it's an interesting thought, that one I've never really thought of, and I'll have to think about it more whether or not I think that there's a place for it or not in Infinity, but it's definitely a topic for discussion regardless. I probably put more hours in Destiny than any game that I've ever played, which is surprised the heck out of me. Lloyd and I have talked about this at length because it's not a very good game. In my opinion, it does a few good things great, and those are a few things are the things that's kept me around, but there's been a lot of external factors that have kind of touched on that, and it does a whole lot wrong. So the fact that I'm playing a more or less bad game for 180 hours is pretty crazy to me. The experience that's primarily kept me around, though, is a cooperative experience. Playing with friends, but not just playing multiplayer. Playing with multiplayer, you could do that in any old game, and depending on the game, I get different degrees of, I don't know, emotional response to that. But the thing that's kept me around with Infinity is actually, Destiny is actually something I've experienced with each and every one of you in Disney Infinity, just on a much smaller scale. And that is a sense of cooperative accomplishment. That accomplishment in Infinity has come from creating boxes that are awesome and amazing and things that I wouldn't be able to do on my own because I don't have the same imagination that you do, Jason, or you do, Lim. But the thing in Destiny, those co-op experiences, is actually completing something that takes a lot of teamwork and is really difficult. And to be quite honest, I don't know if there's a place in that in Infinity. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that as well as the chat room, though.
342 hours, Will.
What, that's me?
Yes, that's you.
That doesn't count, though, because that is the Xbox time. That is not game time played. I'm embarrassed. I'm going to look it up now. So, but yeah, honestly, guys, I've been playing games all my life, and I've played MMOs, and I've never played a game this long in my entire life. And I would love for Destiny or Disney Infinity to do that for me too.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said in the chat room, Disney has it hard because of Minecraft. Like, Minecraft has changed so much in the industry where if it didn't exist, Disney Infinity would be just it would blow people's mind. Like, I can create this thing, I can create this castle. But my kids, who are huge Disney fans, they love all the characters, they love the game, they don't dislike the game. Yet when I give them the option of what they want to play, they go and they put like 10 hours into creating random boxes in Minecraft, which is just placing blocks, and they create houses because it's simple. You can go in a menu, you can pick your texture, you can pick your type, and you can put blocks down, and it's a simple grid system. You're not putting things, you're not rotating them. You're just say, I'm playing with Lego with my controller on my TV. And if there would be a mode in building in Disney Infinity that was very Minecraft-like, where you have a menu of simple geometric shapes and you could place them in more of a lockdown grid system, they would play Disney Infinity like crazy because they love the characters, they love the superpowers, they love chasing each other for hours and throwing each other off the map. But they also love the freedom of creation that they get with a game like Minecraft. So incorporating some of that stuff into the system as well would be amazing. And I know it's not as easy as, hey, grab the Minecraft jar, let's dump some of that in the pot and stir it. But if they could develop some building systems that are more similar to the freedom that we have in Minecraft, that would be amazing.
Do you think that could be a kind of a Trojan horse to actually make the building in Infinity a little more like, maybe not the mechanics, but the what is possible question?
Yeah. It's like Minecraft is such a weird phenomenon. Like kids, like my son is 8, he's going to be 9, and kids in his school, when they're not playing Minecraft.
Stand by, guys. Something happened. Jason, are you still here? I can't hear you guys. All right, trying this again. Oh, there it goes. That was bizarre. Never seen that before. All right, you're back, Lloyd.
We're about to have another dance party. But yeah, like if they're not playing Minecraft, they're watching videos on YouTube about people that are playing Minecraft. Like, it's just the simple mechanics of snapping blocks together like Lego has just made everybody go crazy for it. And I don't fully understand it, but I know in the grade school that my kids go to, that's all they talk about. And if you had building that was very similar to Minecraft, even if you have to rip it off, you'd get a lot more people that are like, hey, I want to build this thing about Minecraft, and then I want to drop a money bin right next to it, and I want to play with it with my favorite Disney characters. That would be huge.
That would be pretty awesome. And you're right, it's a phenomenon. I haven't caught on, but you and your wife have played it. Your kids play it, right?
Yeah, we play it all the time. Like, we have Minecraft sometimes going on 3 devices in the house at once. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. So a beautiful thing about Minecraft is that the shapes are all the same size. They're cubes, right?
Yep.
And so that means it's like Legos. You can add these cubes together and make essentially any shape you want, and that's something you really can't do in Disney Infinity 2.0 or 1.0. I remember us breaking down the trailer a long time ago and hoping that we could mess with the volumetric size of the terrain pieces to make different shapes and blocks and essentially make Minecraft. I think engine wise they have a long ways to go before that.
Yeah. Because I mean, we have big blocks in Disney Infinity, but if you try to build a house out of it, and pretty soon you're going to be running into your memory limits. So they would have to definitely creatively engineer their way around that problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I don't want to cut anyone off, but we are running up to our time. Jason, Lim, or Lloyd, is there any last couple things you want to mention about gameplay mechanics that you feel could improve Disney Infinity?
No, I just want to comment on the Minecraft thing, and I agree. I agree with everything Lloyd said. I think at the end of the day, though, I really do feel like Disney has to make that decision. I don't think they can continue to be this split playset toy box thing. I think they have to commit to one or the other. And personally, I feel like they may as well stick with the toy box because, as Lloyd said, the play sets are in this weird situation where a game will come out and then figures come out 6 months later, but you've already played the play set. So it doesn't make sense to put the focus there. I mean, I would, at best case scenario, you split it into two different. So Disney Infinity is still with the platform, but they have tentpole playset releases. But I just don't think, because Minecraft is one thing. It's you're into the Minecraft world and you build or you survive or whatever it is. It's very simple to understand. I think it's just this education barrier block that's causing the Disney Infinity, you know, confusion, so to speak. I think if kids knew that there was only the toy box to play in, they would persevere with it more, I guess, and play around a bit more. But I don't know. That's my thoughts on that.
Hey, it's a cool thought using the Disney Infinity engine for playsets as separate releases. But all the characters could work with either, and just having a standalone toy box. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's literally just say putting the focus. So you could basically almost like Lloyd said, when you put your Disney Infinity game in, this world auto generates. But you know the crystal playset piece you get when you put that down, you gain access to a toy that gives you access to that playset. You know what I mean? It's just a mental thing. It's not necessarily they could still be in the same game, but the point is at the moment they bring you to a menu and they go, where do you want to go? Do you want to play a play set or do you want to go to the toy box? I think if they just threw you right in the toy box and then gave you access to the play set area or whatever, I think it'll make a major mental difference. So that right as you boot up, you're right there. Go build, go play a play set, go play someone else's toy box they've built. That makes a lot more sense to me.
Love it.
Yeah, if the playsets were downloadable, that would be the ultimate solution. So you get a big toy box, randomly generated world. You can build whatever you want. You can make your own fun, but then you can go to a menu and say, "Hey, I want to boot up this Wall-E playset and sell it for $5." And it's a slice of what a normal playset would be, but without requiring you to have specific figures, specific anything. You just buy this playset for a low price, and then you're in a guided gameplay thing. And then you can take some of those parts and use them in your own boxes or whatever. Like it's like you said, I don't fully agree that they have to take play sets away. The thing that I love to do with the game is play sets. I just want more of them. Like I don't want to go to the store and buy a Planes 2 game for my Wii U for my kids. I want to go to the store and buy this play set and play the movie that way. Like any movie that comes out, I want to go buy a play set, and I want them to maybe come with one figure for that world, but then allow me to play in there with other figures without having everything is so sandboxed and separate. If Disney Infinity was like the platform for every Disney game, I would be super happy with that.
Wouldn't that solve so many problems if playsets were downloadable and you could go out and buy the physical characters for those playsets, but they wouldn't necessarily be relegated only to those figures. But the marketing would become so much easier. You would no longer have these conversations. People were on our Facebook group last week were complaining about a retail experience they had. They were trying to help a family that was confused, and the family or the retail employee was arguing with them. And like if it was one thing you bought the toy box and you bought figures, and then you could either buy digitally the play sets like Jason was saying. That would solve so many issues. Yeah, I don't know. I like that. But with that, gentlemen, I think we need to call it. Lem, where can people find you at across the internet?
I'm kidding. You can find me at Bad Gamer Official on Twitter, and just add an L if you're on Instagram. And then if you want to go to bit.ly/Bad Gamer Official, all the words should be capitalized. That's my YouTube.
Perfect. So go check out Lem's stuff. He's a member of our team, but he also does his own YouTube stuff, which is phenomenal. Lloyd, again, where can people find you outside of DITV?
VGpodcast.com. Go there, check out all the shows that I do. Will's on one, and Lem has some stuff there, and Jason at some point we're gonna be doing some stuff together. So there's the whole family is there.
Yep.
Nice friendly place.
You all know where you can find Jason and I. Stick around after this episode if you want to see some live stream. Jason are going to be working on a toy box again, so stay tuned to DITV. It's twitch.tv/DizzyInfinityTV. Going to leave the show with one last thing. The Baroness89 in the chat has the comment of the night, and it is, I would buy all DLC if they would give it to us, in all caps, console players. So on that bombshell, everyone, we're gonna wish you all a good night, and until next week, we hope your week is filled with infinite possibilities.